When I was younger, it felt like time went by so slowly. I was always bored, always waiting till I turned older, always picturing a brighter future. It feels like it was just 2021 last year and I was just 17 2 years ago. But it was not, and I am not. I'm not sure if it's social media's distractions, but the last few years really felt like they flew by quite rapidly. And recently, I was made aware of a number, 21,718. That is the number of days I have left if I, like most people, die at the age of 85. When I saw that small number, it inevitably brought me to question, how have I been living my life? How should I continue to live my life? And what is the future that awaits me? When I asked my friends what they planned to do with their lives, the answers were mostly the same. Find a job, buy a house, get married, have kids along the way, and some even plan to become financially free and retire early. All admirable to me. But is that enough? Before I explain what I mean, let me share something with you. I recently talked to someone who sold a piece of land in rural Australia to a retiree. That land sits in the middle of nowhere. There are no spectacular views and there is a single grocery store. That retiree's plan was to move from a big city to build a house in the middle of nowhere. I think that might sound like the dream to some people, like a quiet, idyllic country life. But honestly, when I heard that, I thought, was it worth it? Was it worth over 50 years of working the 9 to 5, like 50 years of saving up for the last moments of your life? I don't know the retiree's life story, so I might be short-sighted in saying this, but taking it at face value, maybe some of us start off with big dreams, but as life gets in the way, our dreams might dwindle and maybe soon we settle for what is most affordable in front of us. If a comfortable retirement was our only goal, is it really worth it? I read somewhere that we live in an age where people are living longer, working longer, and then nursing the disappointment that they never became what they wanted to be. Now the self-aware are less self-fulfilled than they expected, and consequently full of self-pity. When I asked older people the same question, the answers shifted. Many people said that they wanted to leave a legacy before they leave this earth, and I thought that was quite admirable as well. But then I thought, how many of us can truly do that? For example, Philo Farnsworth, does that name ring a bell? He invented the television, the very technology which changed media consumption and the way we all live today. What about Sir Tim Berners-Lee? He created the World Wide Web. The World Wide Web which you are watching this video through. Yet, the majority of us don't even know his name, let alone his story or his legacy. I guess my point is, how should we expect ourselves to live a legacy when these men who were pillars of our modern society have been quite generally forgotten by people? But I guess some people also said that they wanted to leave a legacy to the next generation through their children, through the people whose blood run in their veins. But I guess let me pose you a scenario. Some of us may know our grandparents, but what about their parents? What were your great-grandparents like? Do you know their hobbies, their dreams, their jobs, or even just their names? It just took 2 generations and their legacy has been forgotten. So I guess this opens up the question of what is the lasting monument of our lives when we are all buried underground in a box. It's harsh, but the reality is that one day I will be just like them, someone's great forgotten grandparent. I guess what I'm saying is that no matter how high we should ascend in this life, we will all descend 6 feet underground, whether you're living from paycheck to paycheck or you have a trust fund inheritance waiting for you. We're all going to die. Death is the great equalizer. What should we do? We grew up hearing that we could be anything we wanted to be, an astronaut, a doctor, an archaeologist. But with so many options, coupled with the new social pressure of marketing ourselves on platforms like LinkedIn, we don't seem to know what we really want to be, and there seems to be no cause for our unhappiness, which makes us even more unhappy. Experts constantly tell us that the social poverty of our society can be solved if only people can be better educated. Yet history shows us that mere information fails to satisfy the huge appetite of our hearts. I don't think it's capable of continually satisfying our eyes and the bottomless founts of our desires. Western nations are the most educated people in human history, yet one look on social media, statistics, and the news will show us that they do not claim or appear to be the happiest. But if education doesn't satisfy us, I think many of us turn to pleasure, status, or wealth. At first, we might feel that these pursuits resemble a feeling like happiness, but eventually we all discover that the pleasure that it brings is only fleeting, and it reveals itself as a self-focused attitude masked in a form of escapism and vain self-identity that sounds great, but is empty. And in exchange from that transaction, we are left with a mind and an attitude that cannot find rest. But that is not to say that I think work is irrelevant or unhelpful, but I think the posture of our heart and mind towards our toil should be in check. I don't think it's worth losing your soul and your life for the sake of stuff. Is that how valuable your time is to you? Spending 20,000 days for the sake of stuff that can be damaged, corroded, and quickly out of fashion. I think reflecting on this is helpful because it is inevitable for those who give themselves to their possessions to become more and more consumed by them. And I think on our deathbeds, we aren't going to think, oh, I wish I worked more, I wished I skipped more holidays, picked up more shifts, more sales, more promotions. This might not be completely related to the context of the song, but it reminds me of when Kanye says, "There is no Gucci I can buy, there is no Louis Vuitton to put on. There is no YSL that they could sell to get my heart out of this hell and my mind out of this jail. There is no clothes that I could buy that could turn back in time. There is no vacation spot I could fly that could bring back a piece of real life. Real life, what does it feel like? I ask you tonight, I ask you tonight. What does it feel like? I ask you tonight to live a real life." But then we also have the other side of reality, where in the face of our digital age, most of us spend our precious numbered days endlessly scrolling, rotting behind TikToks, Reels, and Shorts. Knowing this, I guess it puts living into perspective. Are we too caught up with life's momentary anxieties like taxes, our jobs, rising house prices, or crypto prices, while neglecting the chance to live a meaningful life that is worth so much more than stuff? I guess here lies the paradox. We are highly educated and most connected to more people than anyone in all of history, and yet have never felt more unsatisfied. We have never had so much, and conversely have felt like we have so little. And I guess here's where we ponder, where can meaning be found? Is the conclusion to live more frivolously, to live in the moment more, to not worry about the materialistic gain? What do you think? Maybe I'll share what I think in another video, but I'd be interested to know what you think.